What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions about my opinions on buying certain watches and how I go about buying a watch, and I figured, you know what, that's a very good idea for a video. So we're gonna call this video, How to Buy a Watch. It is 2:45 p.m. Let's get down to business. Okay, so the first thing people pay attention to when buying a watch is the price. And that makes sense, right? That's the amount of money that you're going to be forking over in order to get the watch that you desire. But there are a couple different things that I think determine pricing, and I think you should be aware of those things when buying a watch, because that's how you're going to assess whether or not the price is accurate, right? Whether or not that's something that you actually want to pay for. So generally speaking, there's two things I think we need to recognize first. Number one, you should never pay Msrp for a watch, okay? And although it may seem like a very good idea to go straight to the watch manufacturer and order the watch, no. They are charging you Msrp, and that's way more money than you need to be spending. And number two, price fluctuates a lot, okay? Even on the same watch, right? I did the review on the Msrp 6.5 cocktail time, link will be in the description below, and I mentioned that, you know, the price on that watch is crazy different wherever you look, right? I've seen it below $200 and I've seen it above $600 new, okay? So take your time and try to find some redundancy in pricing. Okay, so let's say you find a watch that you like, okay? Don't impulse buy it, all right? That's the number one cause of buyer's remorse, is just impulse buying something and then finding out on Instagram or on the forum that there's actually a watch that you like way more, but you just blew your money on some impulse buy. So what I tell everybody is just pump the brakes, give yourself some options, okay? Find a watch you like, see what you like about that watch, and then shop around, look at other comparable watches, okay? And then when you come to the watch that you think really stole your heart, there are some other criteria that we need to look at, okay? First, the movement, all right? People are gonna get upset about this, but hear me out. If the watch is offered as an automatic and a quartz, always get the automatic, okay? I know it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but here's what's gonna happen. You're going to buy the quartz watch because it's going to be a little cheaper, and then later on down the road, you're going to wish that you bought the automatic. So always buy the automatic movement, okay? Now, something that may seem superficial but is actually pretty important in the long run, buy the watch with the bracelet on it, okay? Again, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but diver watches tend to do this, okay? They'll offer you a watch that has a metal bracelet on it, or you can buy a watch with the rubber strap on it from the factory. The rubber strap initially will be less expensive, right? It'll be cheaper. But it's going to be more expensive later on down the road to go ahead and buy a metal bracelet. So what you should do is buy the watch with the metal bracelet on it, and then later on, if you want, get the rubber strap. It'll be much more cost effective. So now I want you to look at the watch's crystal. Is it an acrylic crystal? Is it a sapphire crystal? Okay, these are things that are important when it comes to pricing, because if it's a sapphire crystal, it should be a little bit more expensive, but if it's an acrylic crystal, then maybe, you know, it should be cheaper. Sapphires tend to be more resilient, more sturdy, more scratch resistant, and acrylic crystals tend to be a little bit less resilient. Okay guys, so I've mentioned the movement, always buy the automatic. I've mentioned how you should buy the bracelet from the get-go, and I've mentioned the crystal material. Try and get the sapphire crystal. All right. Now I'm going to talk to you about something that's going to piss a few people off. All right, the country of origin. All right, I made a video about Chinese watches versus Swiss watches. It ruffled a bunch of people's feathers, but hear me out. All right, you should not be paying any more than $400 for a Chinese watch, okay? Just period. All right, if you're spending more, like anywhere near $400 for a Chinese watch, you are probably getting ripped off. That's not to say that just because a watch is Swiss made, it should be a bajillion dollars, all right? Swiss watches still need to follow the criteria I'm mentioning here, but just as a rule of thumb, if it's Chinese, probably don't need to be spending anywhere near $400 for it. Quartz watches, the same thing. Don't spend anywhere more than $350 on a quartz movement. Alright, and there are exceptions to the rule. The Seiko tuna, okay, probably the sickest Seiko ever made. That's a quartz movement, and that's way more expensive than $350. That typically goes for over $1,000. So yes, there are exceptions, but just be aware, if it's Chinese or if it has a quartz movement, don't pay any more than like $400 for it, okay? So now I'm going to list it out for you, okay? Be aware of the movement and the complications. I didn't mention that, but obviously if it has more complications, it's going to be more expensive. Be aware of the bracelet that comes on it. Be aware of the crystal material, and be aware of where it's made. Okay, now I want to touch upon buying vintage watches and pre-owned watches, okay? I just want to tell you immediately that once you start getting into vintage and pre-owned watches, it gets a lot trickier, all right? A lot more shady. So here's what I'm going to tell you. When you go to buy a new watch, you still need to be pretty well educated on the watch you're going to be spending money on, but it is 10 times more important to know a ton about the vintage piece you're going to buy, okay? You should be an expert on that piece before you even contact the person selling it, okay? So once you contact the person selling it, you need to ask for pictures, okay? A lot of detailed pictures of the crystal, of the case, of the movement, all right? Ask a lot of questions about the service history. And listen, guys, if the dude gets upset with you for asking the questions about the watch, then you don't want to be doing business with him anyway, all right? Pay attention to the crown. Is it a signed crown? Is it a replaced crown? And if the guy says he doesn't know, then that should be an indicator that you might not want to do business with him, because who knows what else he doesn't know about the watch. Bottom line, if you are not there in person to inspect and look at the watch, then it is a little bit risky. But hey, I have multiple vintage pieces. I've just done my research and I follow these rules, and it kind of mitigates that risk a little bit. Alright guys, so just to summarize, pay attention to the movement, always buy the automatic. Be aware of the crystal, always buy the sapphire. Be aware of the bracelet, always buy the metal bracelet from the get-go, buy the rubber straps later. And pay attention to where the watch is made. Do not spend more than $400 on a Chinese watch. But the number one rule when buying a watch is buy something that makes you happy and that you will enjoy wearing. Alright guys, I hope this helped you out. If you have any more questions, please send me a message, comment. You can find me on Instagram @TheSimpleConsultant. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with other watch enthusiasts and other people that you think would enjoy this. Also, turn on my little channel notifications so you do not miss one of my videos. There's a lot more content on the way, guys. Thank you so much for the support. I've broken over 100 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying this channel as much as I am. Guys, I am Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. And always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.